Well, hello everybody and welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make beef Wellington. So this is a fillet of beef which is encased in some pastry, but there's much more to it than that, because inside the pastry as well as the beef there are crepes or pancakes, prosciutto and mushroom duxelle. And so the recipe is quite complicated, and to make things easier I'm doing this in 3 different videos. The main video is to make some rough puff pastry, though you could use shop bought puff pastry if you wanted to, and then to sear the meat and cook it in the oven for a few minutes, not to cook it all the way through but just to get it started, and then to assemble the beef Wellington and bake it. The other 2 videos, one is to make the crepes or the pancakes, and one is to make the mushroom duxelle. They are standalone videos because you can use those crepes or the duxelle for things other than beef Wellington basically, and it helps to keep this quite simple. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and the ingredients for the rough puff pastry is 400 grams, which is 2 2/3 cups of bread flour. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. And then I have 400 grams, 1 3/4 cups plus 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. I have 200 milliliters, half a cup plus 1/3 cup of ice cold water, and 7 grams, 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. And then for the beef itself, I have 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds of beef. I have prosciutto here, and I've actually got 240 grams, but it works out at about 12 slices. I may not need all of that, but it works out at about 12 slices. I have 80 grams of butter, which is 5 2/3 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to use the yolks of 2 eggs plus a little drop of milk to make an egg wash, and I'll also use that mixture for sealing the pastry as well, and then salt and pepper for seasoning. So there are those ingredients, and I do have 2 other ingredients which I will show you now. And so the other 2 ingredients are mushroom duxelle and crepes or pancakes, and I made these in advance. And the mushroom duxelle was made with some shallots and a kilogram, 2.2 pounds of mushrooms and some cream. But there will be a separate video and a separate blog post for that. And then I have here 3 pancakes which are about 11 inches, 28 centimeters in diameter, and I made these in advance as well, and there will be a separate video for that. These are savoury or herb pancakes which can be used for other purposes. You can fill those with other savoury items. So they're going to go back into the fridge until they're needed. So I have here my fillet of beef, and I'm going to put some salt on that, and I actually just tip some salt onto a tray like this, and then I'm going to just coat the meat in the salt. And having washed my hands, I'm going to just put just a little bit of pepper on, and I'll put more pepper on in the pan. So at this stage I had my oven preheated to 200 degrees Celsius 180 Celsius with a fan, 390 Fahrenheit, because I'm going to sear this in a pan, and then I'm going to put the pan into the oven for 8 minutes just to start the cooking process for the meat. So I'm going to melt my butter, my 80 grams of butter, in a heavy bottomed pan, and this is a pan which can then go into the oven basically. And with our butter sizzling, I'm going to put the meat into the pan, and I'm going to brown it all the way around and on the ends. I'll just keep turning it until it's slightly browned. The idea is to actually seal the meat basically. So I have browned that just a little bit all the way around at the ends and all the way around, and that's now going to go into the oven, and I'm going to leave that in the oven for 8 minutes. I will turn the meat over after 4 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out of the oven and put it onto a tray and leave it to cool completely. Once it's cooled, I'm going to wrap it up in some more cling film and put it back into the fridge until I need it. And once I've cooked this and I'm leaving it to cool, I'll come back and we'll go on to make the rough puff pastry. And with my meat cooling down before I wrap it and put it back in the fridge, I'm going to go on to make the rough puff pastry. So I've put my flour into a large bowl, and I'm going to just sprinkle the salt over the top, and then I'm going to add my cubes of butter, and I'm going to cut that in. Now you can do that by whatever means you want basically, but we want to leave chunks of butter. We don't want it as if we were making short crust pastry where it's fine breadcrumbs. We need it to still have little pearls of butter all the way through the flour. So I'm going to use my pastry cutter to start off with. So I have my butter in little pieces really now, and there's a few which are slightly larger, but that's fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour most of my water in. I'll just hold back a little bit, and I'm going to start to stir that until it comes together. And that's almost there. I'm just going to add a little drop more, maybe another tablespoon, and mix it again. And then I'm going to pull that together with my hand. To make sure that there's no loose flour anywhere. And I'm going to put that onto some plastic wrap. And as you can see, there's a few loose bits there. So I'm going to just squeeze that together to bring that all into one piece. And as you can see the butter there. I'm actually going to just wrap that up and I'm going to chill it for an hour. And once it's chilled for an hour, I will come back and I will roll it out and fold it and roll it and fold it, and I need to do at least 5 or 6 roll and folds. That will then give us the layers for our rough puff pastry, but I'll come back in an hour and we'll start that process. So I've chilled my dough for an hour and I've floured the work surface, and I've put a little bit of flour on the top of the dough as well. I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle and then I'm going to fold it up. And the more I roll it, the smoother it will become. But of course it's still very buttery in terms of the clumps of butter, but they also will smooth out and meld into the flour somewhat. So I've rolled that into a rectangle and I've straightened the edges a little bit. I'm just going to brush off any excess flour that there might be on the dough. Then I'm going to fold it over and I'm just going to check that. And I'm going to brush off this excess flour as well. I'm going to press down to straighten the edge like that and fold the other third up so that it covers it. And again brush off the excess. And I'm going to turn it around, but I will flour my work surface again at the same time. So I turn it so that the open ends are facing me, and I'm going to roll it again to about the same size and fold it again. So I've rolled that again and I'm going to fold that over as before. just like that, and you can still see the marbling in the flour where the butter's marbling. So I'm then going to wrap that again in plastic wrap, and I'm going to chill it for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out and roll it 2 more times. Then I'm going to wrap it again and chill it for a further 30 minutes, and then roll it for the final time 2 more times, and that will be as much as we need. So I'll come back as I'm finishing the final of 6 folds basically. So I've rolled my pastry out now 6 times. So I'm just going to fold it for the final time. As you can see, there's slight little bits of marbling still, but the butter has mainly absorbed into the flour. So I'm just going to brush off any excess, and I'm going to fold it over. And fold over the bottom half as well. And that's it ready to be used, but I'm going to chill it again before I use it. So I'm just brushing off the excess flour. So I'll put that back into the plastic wrap and I'll chill it in the fridge until I actually need it. And the next thing we're going to do is to begin the process of forming our Wellington. So to start assembling the beef Wellington, I've taken 2 of my pancakes and laid them on top of each other. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush this one a little bit with my egg yolk, which has also got a little bit of milk in it, so that I can use that as a sort of glue for the other pancake. So I'll just press that down on there like that. And then I'm going to take prosciutto and carefully unwrap it, and I'm going to lay it on the pancakes. I'm going to patch as necessary. I'm not going to worry too much about being too precise. So I'm going to form a rectangle of the prosciutto so that it's large enough to encase my beef. And I've actually just used the 1 packet of prosciutto there, and I've used every last piece of it just to, so it's not hanging around. So that was 120 grams. And I've put my prosciutto on fairly roughly, but I've covered enough of the pancakes which will allow me to encase the beef. So then I'm going to put on top of that my mushroom duxelle, and I'm going to spread that evenly over the prosciutto. and I may have some left over, but that's good because I can use that for other purposes. And with the duxelle on the prosciutto, I'm going to take my beef, I'm going to put that on. I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to try to roll it as tightly as I can using my plastic wrap to help me bring it up. And I can see the pancake has split there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay another piece over the top, and that's fine, and I'll carry on rolling like that, lifting up that pancake. And I'm just going to tuck it in for the time being at the ends. Because what I want to do is I want to roll the plastic wrap up and I'm going to chill that in the fridge So I'm going to chill it like that for at least an hour, and as the hour comes to an end, I'm going to preheat my oven to 200 degrees Celsius, 180 Celsius with a fan, 390 Fahrenheit, and I'll have a baking tray available with a silicone mat or parchment paper on, ready to take the beef Wellington. And as the oven preheats, I'll come back and we'll roll out the pastry and encase this pancake and beef roll in the pastry, and then we'll sort of glaze it and put it in the oven to bake. So I'll be back in an hour's time when we're ready to do that. With my oven starting to preheat, I'm going to roll out my pastry to a nice large rectangle. Obviously it has to be large enough that it can completely cover the pancakes and the beef. And you can roll it about 3 to 4 millimeters thick. You can have it slightly thicker if you want to, of course. And with that rolled out like that, I'm just going to straighten the edge a little bit by chopping off the top. Like that. And I'm going to get my roll out of the fridge. And I'm just going to check that that will be large enough, and it clearly will. So I'll take this out of the plastic wrap and I'll place it on the pastry like that. I'm going to brush down the side of the pastry with egg wash. like that. And then I'm going to roll up the pastry and then brush egg wash to seal the pastry there. And I'll carry on rolling. Like that. And then I will fold in the edge, the ends should I say, cutting off a bit of the excess. And I'll cut off the excess from where I've sealed it as well. So I've moved the seam more to the centre underneath, and I'm going to fold under, or I'll turn it over like that and fold over the excess pastry like that. And that's ready to go onto the baking tray. Like that. And I'm going to brush that all over with egg. And I'm going to do this twice. So I do it once now, and then I'm going to put the roll into the fridge while the oven comes fully to temperature. Then I'll take it out of the fridge, I'll score some sort of pattern on the top, and then I'll brush more egg wash over the top, and that's good enough. So I'll put that into the fridge and I'll chill it until my oven is up to temperature, about 10 minutes or so. So my oven is now preheated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sharp knife and I'm going to score a pattern over my pastry without cutting all the way through. You can do any pattern you want basically, but I'm going to try to do some leaves if I can. And then I'm going to brush the top again with a little more egg. and I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for 35 to 40 minutes. I'll keep an eye on it, and if the top is browning too quickly, I will cover the top with some aluminium foil. But after 35 to 40 minutes, I'll test the internal temperature, and I want it to reach at least 30 degrees Celsius, 87 Fahrenheit, and that won't be cooked at all. But as the Wellington rests, the internal temperature rises and continues to cook once it's out of the oven. So once it's reached 30 degrees Celsius, 87 Fahrenheit, I'll take it out of the oven and I'll leave it on the baking tray, which will still be hot, and I'm going to leave it for 30 to 45 minutes, something like that. I'm testing the temperature from time to time, and once it reaches at least 65 degrees Celsius, which is 149 Fahrenheit, that will tell me that it's cooked to at least rare to medium rare, and at that stage it will be ready to serve. So I'll come back once I've taken this out of the oven and allowed it to cool, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I cooked my beef Wellington for 40 minutes, and the temperature on the inside read 32 degrees Celsius. So I knew that that was about the temperature that I wanted, and that as it rested the temperature would increase, and it has increased to just over 60 degrees, which is sort of rare to medium rare, and that is fine for me. So I've actually cut a slice of it, and I'll show you what it looks like now. So this is what it looks like, and it's very, very juicy, as you can see. It's going to be perfect. Now I'm not going to have a taste of that, and the reason for that is that I need to get this round to my niece, because she's having it for her dinner and I'm having it for mine, and I still had to cook my vegetables. So that will be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.